A summer vacation used to feel like a whole country. You could wake up, do nothing, eat cereal, ride a bike, get bored, get sunburned, and somehow only one afternoon had passed. Now 3 months vanish between 2 emails. By the end of this, you'll understand why time felt enormous when you were young, why adulthood seems to speed up, and why the strangest part may be how your brain edits reality. Because your brain is not recording time, it is compressing it. Start with the simplest clue. When you are 8, 1 year is a giant piece of your life. It is 1/8 of everything you have ever lived. One summer is not just a season, it is a visible chunk of your entire existence. At 40, 1 year is 1/40th of your life. A summer is still 3 months on a calendar, but inside your personal timeline, it is a tiny slice. The clock did not shrink. Your measuring stick got longer. That is why childhood years can feel so huge in memory. Each one takes up more space compared with the total life behind you. But this explanation is only part of the story. Because if life were only about fractions, then every adult week would feel equally tiny. And that is not true. A boring month at home can disappear. A strange weekend in a new city can feel massive. So something else is going on. The next clue is memory. Your brain does not save life like a security camera. It does not record every minute and store it in a neat folder called Tuesday. It saves changes, firsts, surprises, weird moments, things that make your attention stand up and point. Childhood is a factory of firsts. The first time you sleep at a friend's house. The first time you jump into water that is colder than expected. The first time you realize adults can be wrong. The first time you discover that a normal-looking day can turn into a story. To an adult, these are tiny events. To a child, they are giant memory landmarks. And when you look back later, your brain estimates time partly by counting those landmarks. A week full of new moments feels longer in memory because there is more to unpack. A week of repeating the same commute, the same desk, the same dinner, and the same browser tabs gets compressed into one gray block. This is why an adult year can feel like it vanished. It was not empty. You lived it. You worked, ate, cleaned, answered messages, got tired, recovered, repeated. But if many days had the same shape, memory folds them together. Your brain is not recording time. It is compressing it. This also explains a weird contradiction. Waiting in line for 10 minutes can feel endless while it is happening. You look at the person in front of you. You look at the floor. You check your phone. You look back at the person. Somehow, they have moved 2 inches. In the moment, boredom stretches time because your attention has nowhere interesting to go. You keep checking the clock inside your head. Every second gets inspected. But later, that same wait almost disappears. There was nothing special to save. No story, no change, no landmark. Your memory throws it into a tiny drawer labeled waiting. Now flip it. A vacation day can fly by while you are living it. Breakfast in a new place, a wrong turn, a weird shop, a view, a bad map, a meal you remember for no good reason. The day feels fast because you are absorbed, but later it feels long, because memory has so many hooks to hang it on. So there are 2 kinds of time that keep getting mixed up. Lived time is what it feels like while you are inside the moment. Remembered time is what it feels like when your brain rebuilds it afterward. They are related, but they are not the same thing. That is why time flies when you are having fun can be true, and new experiences make life feel longer can also be true. Fun can speed up the present, while novelty expands the memory. This is where the brain starts acting less like a clock and more like a terrible video editor. It cuts boring parts. It zooms in on danger. It accidentally saves one embarrassing sentence from 12 years ago, but deletes an entire ordinary Wednesday. Your attention is one editing tool. If you focus hard on time, time often feels slower. That is the watched pot problem. A minute can feel bigger when you keep checking whether it is over. Emotion is another tool. Fear, stress, excitement, and anticipation can all bend the moment. A near accident can feel stretched out. A deadline can make an hour collapse. A game, a crush, or a message you really want to receive can make time behave strangely. Your body matters too. Time perception is tied to attention, arousal, reward, and action. Even heat, fatigue, and stress can change how timing feels in short intervals. That is why there is no single answer to why does time feel fast? The answer changes depending on the time scale. A boring minute feels slow because attention is trapped. A repeated week feels short because memory has little to separate it. A childhood summer feels huge because it is a large slice of life, packed with novelty, stored as a pile of landmarks. An adult year feels fast when your days are full but similar. And then comes the strangest part. Humans are not the default speed of reality. Different animals can detect visual changes at different rates. This is called visual temporal resolution. A fast-flying insect needs to react to tiny changes very quickly. A slower-moving animal may not need the same expensive high-speed visual system. This does not mean a fly is secretly watching the world in slow motion all day. It does not mean we can say exactly what time feels like inside another creature's mind. That would be too neat. But it does mean the reaction world of a fly, a bird, and a slow sea creature can be different. Imagine you swing at a fly. To you, your hand is fast. To the fly's visual system, more of that movement may be available in smaller slices. It can detect changes quickly enough to react before your grand human attack arrives. From your point of view, the fly is impossible. From the fly's point of view, you may be a giant slow problem with bad aim. That is a funny visual, but it points to something serious. Time is not just numbers on a clock. For a living thing, time is what its body can notice, process, react to, and remember. A creature that hunts in the air needs one kind of now. A child exploring a world full of firsts lives inside a different kind of now than an adult moving through a familiar routine. Now bring it back to childhood summers. They were not endless because the calendar gave you extra days. They were endless because everything was bigger inside your measuring system. A day was a larger part of your life. A backyard could feel like a continent. A week could contain 5 disasters, 3 discoveries, 2 friendships, 1 mystery smell, and a popsicle that somehow became a permanent memory. Your brain had no reason to compress all that. It was new. It was emotional. It was full of landmarks. Then adulthood arrives, and life gets efficient. You know the route. You know the people. You know the store. You know how summer works. Monday looks like Tuesday. June looks like July. Your brain looks at all those repeated pieces and says, I can store this as one file. That is the disappearance. Not time speeding up in the outside world. Not childhood being objectively longer. Not adulthood being fake. Compression. Your brain is not recording time. It is compressing it. The good news is that compression is not destiny. You cannot become 8 again. You cannot make a year become 1/8 of your life. You cannot force every Tuesday to feel like a mythic adventure with cereal, but you can create more landmarks. A new route, a new skill, a conversation that is not just the same update, a place you have never walked, a small risk, a deliberate break in the pattern. Not constant chaos, just enough novelty that your memory has something to hold. Because a full life is not only about how many clock minutes you get, it is also about how many of those minutes become findable later. So maybe childhood summers felt endless because your brain was surrounded by doors it had never opened. Adulthood feels faster when too many doors are already labeled. The clock keeps moving at the same speed. But your remembered life gets built from the marks you leave inside it. You cannot make clock time slower, but you can make remembered time fuller. If this made something click, like the video and subscribe for more simple explanations with weird little drawings. Then pick the next cross-section on screen.